Good morning. It's a brand new week, Monday the 24th of July 2023, and we're going to go over my trade plan for today and a quick look at the week ahead as well. On my screen at the moment you can see the daily on the MES or the ES chart, and I've just drawn in this trend line as well, which will be clear on the hourly, which I'll flick back to. But I just wanted to go over my weekly areas, and the red lines you can see on this screen, these are all my weekly levels, and most of them go back to beginning of April 2022, so about a year and a half. So let's just quickly zoom out and go back to those areas just to recap. So we are currently at 45.71, and we've got this pivot at 45.88.50 or 45.90, that area. So this is an area I'm going to be keeping an eye on, and it's not, I've also coloured it red as a supply zone as well. And so you can see we had the tops of these candles here, tops and bottoms of these candles here. But if I zoom out and go back a few more weeks, you can see this really nice area where we retested that area before and we rejected it every time, and we had a fake breakout here before we had a hit hard rejection as well. So I think 45.88, 45.90, maybe 4600 is going to be a major rejection area, or it could be a break and retest area if we do manage to break through. So going further back on this chart, we can see lots of areas where go back on this chart, you can see lots of areas where this area has been retested. Here, all across here. Let me just redraw that. So here, along here, all across this area, the bottoms and tops here, these bottoms, these tops. So it's quite a big area. It's been areas of congestion and convolution as well, where tops of candles have merged with bottoms of candles. So that's why it's an area I want to keep an eye on. So 45.88.50. If we do break through, then we've got 46.31, which is the top of this pivot, and again areas where it's been tested previously as well. So it's another area to keep an eye on. So 46.31, 45.88, they're the areas we're watching. 45.90. If we see a rejection down, then we've got this area here, 44.94, basically 4500, and you can see areas of convolution there, bottoms of these candles, bit of a hiccup there, and tops and bottoms of candles over here. So these two areas are the major areas we're coming into next. So if we are on a run, then we want to be watching 45.88 to 46.61 area, these two areas. If we are looking to drop down, then from where we are, then we've got the 44.95 area to keep an eye on, this area here, and I've marked them on my chart as supply and demand areas, so make it a bit easier later on. So we've got the green area here, we've got this other green area here. I think that's, what's that for? That's not, I think that's related to today's last few weeks, and we've got this red area of supply, so demand and supply. So these are the areas I'm going to be watching for. So looking back at today's date, we've got this trend line drawn in, so I'm going to be cautious if we can actually break the trend line, because what we may see is it come up to this trend line area and then drip down. We are technically in an hourly downtrend at the moment, and we've not been able to break this 8 moving average. More realistically, probably we're going to get to the 20 moving average if we do start to run down, and then it may coincide with this weekly area as well on the daily, which is 44.95 we just discussed. So potentially we're looking for a breakdown to 44.95, 4500 area, and we'll be looking for a bounce, and that be because of this area. We have this small area of convolution as well, so we may see a bit of resistance. We may break and retest that area, so we'll be watching this area. And we've had tops of candles and bottoms of candles test that area a few times over the last few days. If we are bullish, then probably we want to break out from this trend line, pull back in for an entry for another run up. And if we're bullish, then we should be targeting 46.31 and 4700. They're the areas to be watching out for this week. If we're bearish and we can't break this trend line, we want to be watching 44.95, possibly down to this area, 44.40 again, 44.25. I think, and we do have this area around here as well, so it's an area to keep an eye out. And we've got a weekly level at 43.85, so 4400 is what we're watching. So that's the week we're watching out for. So let's have a quick look at what we're going to be doing today, hopefully. So I'm now going to open up the hourly chart, and so let's just check the levels. So we've got our weekly, which is quite close up here, and it coincides with this area of congestion as well, and the head and shoulders pattern we had last week. So this neckline, so there was a bit of heavier volume around that area. So for today, I'll be watching. So what I really want to watch today, so this 45.76 area for a break and retest. I don't really want to go short there because it's a bit close to where we are now, but we do have this trend line, so it may be a scalp short if we get up there and then the volume sets up and it looks like a reversal. But if we are on a big push up, then a break and retest of that area is what I'm watching for. So 45.76.50. And bear in mind we've got that downward trend line as well, and we've not broken it yet for a few days. For a rejection area, I really want to be watching this weekly area we discussed. So it's basically this head and shoulders area and this pivot. So if we come into that area, and you can see that trend line is based on a year and a half ago, and we did test it quite a few times and broke through. We couldn't quite break it apart from this one day, and then we tried again last week and we still couldn't break through that weekly. So possibly we may try again today, or we may try again this week, and it'll either reject, it could be the rejection back down to this trend line and push up, or we may just see it break, come back and retest. So we've got a few areas we can watch for. And that's it. And for bounce wise, I'm still watching 45.50, 45.45, this area here. We've got an area of demand as well. And so if we pull right back down to here, I'll be looking to get in. I'll be layering into my position, probably within this zone. It's quite a big zone, 45.52 down to 45.45, and I ideally want to be catching my main trades, my main entries at the bottom of this zone where I've drawn that line, and that coincides with this double bottom, topping tails and bottom tails, and also that's when we saw a big rejections level last and a big push up. So maybe we might see the same thing, come down and then a big push back up again. And I think that's it. Obviously we've got these levels as well, so rejection areas 4600 and 4600 to 4605, and then this area here, which if we do break through, which we discussed. So just to sum up my levels on the ES, starting from the top, we've got a 4612 rejection, 4605 rejection, possible rejection at 4592, but it could also be a break and retest long. We've got a weekly break and rejection at 45.88.50, and again that could be a retest long if we don't reject it. We've got this trend line we're watching for as well, which may set up, may just work. We may be just running time off the clock at the moment before we break through. So 45.76 for a break and retest long. You might want to scalp a break off the pre-market highs at 45.76 as well. So that's a possible scalp. And then these are above the current price, and going back down we've got this area and this area, so 45.60 to 45.57, and then finally 45.45. So there's about 6 levels I'm watching, but some of these won't be in play today, it's more for the week. Let's just look, okay, let's just make it clearer. The levels I'm watching today are 45, 76, 50 for a break and retest or a scalp rejection. 45, 57 for a bounce, and that's a high risk bounce. And I think that's it. And the weekly rejection at 45, 88, 50 for a rejection. And that's it. So these are the levels I'm watching today. Okay, so looking at SPY quickly as well. Again, these levels I'm just making up on the fly. I've not really looked at the charts until a few minutes ago. So I put the same trend line into SPY as well. And we've got some levels here, quite good levels. So first of all, we got a possible bounce. Oh, let's go back to SPY. So we have a possible bounce down at this, similar to ES. So 450, so we're watching 450 for a bounce. That would be a nice full size position if we can get that down that far. We've got this area, the post market and Friday's lows for a possible bounce, which is 45, 50, 451, 93, so 452 area. So 450, 452. And then we've got this break and retest area again at 453.50, so that's an area to keep an eye on. And again, we have this trend line around about the same area, so potential break and retest of the trend line as well. 454.13 could be a rejection, a high risk rejection. And then we've got 455, this area here for a rejection area before we start heading back into this area of supply. And then we've got a few rejections up top at 456 and 458 or 457.80. And that's it really. I'll have a quick look at Qs as well, because I want to keep an eye on Qs a bit more, because when ES is having a small day, then we have a few more, and then ES, the SPY or the Qs I meant, seem to be having more volatile days when ES doesn't have any volatile days. So we've got some quick levels that stand out on this chart. So we've got the 370 for a bounce, 374.30 for a possible bounce around there. So come down and bounce based on this pivot here. $378.22 for a scalp rejection or a break and retest long. And then we've got 382.81 for this rejection area, which is the tops of these candles, tops of this shoulder, and potentially you could have your stop loss at 384, a bit of a wider stop loss for a bounce up here and back for a rejection up there. So 382 to 384 rejection area as well. And that's it really on Qs, and the Nasdaq will probably be similar. That's its derivative of the here we go, yeah, so similar levels as well. I've not marked these up, but the chart's almost identical to the Qs. And that's it. Hopefully you have a good day today, and I will hopefully see some of you in our Discord room later. Have a good day.